All right. Shush. Did this one work? Ah, where am I? Where'd I go? Okay, chat. Firefox. Boom, boom, boom. Bam, bam, boom. Does this work? It's a little big. Is this cropped or something weird? What is that? Why is it shaped like that? Bro made this in widescreen or something? Like. All right, here we go.
We released our third commercial game, Get to Work, a rage game about climbing the corporate ladder on rollerblades.
That is really loud for me. Can you see that? Can you hear that?
Playtesters kept saying one thing. I can't wait to see the speedrun of this game.
It is not letting me.
And holy they were right. The number of jaw-dropping...
Why is this so broken? One moment. We must refresh.
On December 2nd, we released our third commercial game, Get to Work.
HD.
A rage game about climbing the corporate ladder on rollerblades that rewards hitting clean jumps.
This is the Get to Work. It's like one of the streamer rage games. We ended up being doing a lot of speedruns of this game for like the first week, which I think is what this video is about. So we're gonna watch the world record progression basically, because there was also like a speedrun competition, and Isto asked for a lot of footage from me, so I assume I'm gonna be in the video a little bit.
Smooth lines and precision, and
But I'm gonna be honest, chat. I
every mistake.
am gonna play this in 1.25.
During our development, playtesters kept saying one thing: I
have
can't
no
wait
patience.
to see the speedrun of this game. And holy, they were right. The number of jaw-dropping, brain-busting strats the runners came up with during our speedrun competition was beyond our wildest expectations.
What in the f am I watching?
This is the story of how speedrunners broke our rage game, Get to Work. Now, before I dive in, this video contains a ton of spoilers.
Spoilers?
So if you plan on playing the game...
Oh gosh, chat. There's spoilers. If you don't want spoilers for Get to Work, leave now.
I'd strongly suggest trying it first and then coming back to this video. You've been warned. Here we go. The goal of Get to Work is to reach the top.
Oh, I didn't pause it in time. Shit. Okay, chat. Now you know the plot of the game.
Basement, work your way through various jobs and end up as CEO. Now, Get to Work is a hard game. Even the first section of the game, which is used to teach you the main mechanics, caused people to struggle.
Dude, it's not, I don't, okay.
And as you progress through the game only gets harder.
No! The pipe! No! Dude, this...
And harder.
This part sucks. This area is awful when we first got to it.
And of the 8% of people who actually beat the game, it usually takes them anywhere from 8
to embezzlement.
All
of your hard work.
Let's go!
to 15 hours.
Yeah!
8 to 15. Didn't we take 6 and 3 of those were climbing a wall?
Credit where credit is due. Out of all the big streamers, Ludwig beat the game the fastest in 5 hours and 15 minutes.
Hard work has finally
Ludwig
Let
in
me tell you,
5:15.
even as the dev of the game, that's an incredibly impressive time. But speedrunners are built a little different.
Oh yeah, now he's gonna talk about me clearly.
Day one was the Wild
I think on day 1 we beat it at like 3 a.m. with 6 hours in the game or something.
West. You see, we were holding a speedrun competition for the fastest times after days 1, 3, and 10. And on day 1, nobody had seen or played the game, so everyone was really just trying to get a
Except for Dan Corona.
feel for the mechanics.
Oh, did you see that? Oh my God! The warehouse manager role is mine! Woo!
Beat the game for the first time, and get a good first run. Dan Corona, a variety streamer known for speedrunning Pogo Stuck, was
And for being a tester for Get to Work.
one of the first runners to submit a competitive time.
I wonder
For
why.
context, Dan beat the game for the first time in under 3 hours.
Sub 3 hours! Sub 3!
Like
Nepotism.
I said, speedrunners are built different.
And nepotism always wins.
Now, this run has no major skips, but acts as a good baseline for all future runs.
Which honestly, I'm not even mad about. It's kind of funny. It just works, you know? It's good for the metaphor.
This is the entire run from start to finish. And to make it easier to digest, I've split the run into 6 major sections. These sections each have multiple checkpoints, which is what you can see in the built-in speedrun timer we included in the game.
It wasn't a good timer. I use my own still.
The first
They probably fixed it by now, I bet.
section of the game is applying for jobs. It's meant to be a massive parkade with very large, forgiving jumps. Once you land your first interview, you're in the pendulum section. These little swinging platforms are called pendulums, and if you hit them at the right angle, they launch you nicely into the air.
I wouldn't call them
Individually, with some
pendulums.
good timing, they're pretty easy to hit, but as we'll see in later
These animations are kind of sick.
angle, they launch you nicely into
Like, I guess because he made the game, he has all the files and can, like, do cool stuff.
the air.
I feel like the actual developer of the game doing the speedrun history, we're gonna get so many, like, cool graphics.
Individually, with some good timing, they're pretty easy to hit, but as we'll see in later runs, chaining them together is very hard. Dan does it at a casual pace, but completes it with no
Look at
mistakes,
that.
and ends
That's
up
so cool.
as a warehouse trainee. This section is relatively straightforward with several jumps used to teach new players how to maneuver, and it quickly brings you into the first big section of the game, the warehouse. The warehouse is a massive, open structure with lots of jumps and the first slingshot. A grabbable platform that launches the player forward.
Gotcha.
Dan doesn't use any skips and continues to work his way through the warehouse following the normal path. And as you can see, the red lines, which indicate his route, cross over a lot. In between the various slingshots, the open jumps that weave back and forth, and the sheer speed you can get from all of the elements, you can see there's a lot of room for improvement.
This is kind of crazy because I imagine the way that Isto did this is he probably had to, like, recreate these runs himself to get those animations, right?
Bumper skip. This was obviously incredibly intentional. Doesn't do the second part.
He doesn't even do the second part. Even I do that.
Yeah.
I haven't even beat the game yet.
Yeah. Dan right now is just running on pure, solid, fundamental mechanics.
Yeah.
And as you can see, as this video keeps going, the room is really big and really open. And he moves into what I call the A-frame section. These black textured A-shaped obstacles are quite tricky and require a great deal of precision. But Dan makes it through into the unpaid intern section where he struggles for a good solid 3 minutes.
The grinders are just trying to like get
This
solid,
section
no mistakes time, no big falls.
Is
There's a lot
it
of
was
mistakes,
so
dude.
bad. It's so precise.
But then he does his first skip. This is the 4 floors.
Yeah.
And the normal route has you going around and around, gaining height each time.
That's such a cool concept.
But what's cool about this section is that it takes you back to the same jump every time. But since you gain height, you can jump higher every lap, which is how you climb up the 4 floors.
That's pretty cool.
And between you and me, it's definitely one of the levels I'm most proud of.
Yeah.
Come on, that's kind of a cool idea.
You can't hear, by the way? Listen harder.
Anyway, Dan figures out if you launch off the oval at the perfect angle, you can get more speed,
Floor 3 skip.
and skip a floor.
Nice one.
After beating the rest of the level, he moves on to a new section I haven't shown yet, the Junior Financial Analyst section. This is roughly the halfway point and introduces one of my favorite level features, the giant cogs.
The cogs
These
are
massive
cool.
cogs spin around, and when you grab onto them and release, they fling you into the air.
They
They're
are
a ton of fun
cool.
and allow us to create a bigger, more open section than any other level so far. And after traversing all the way through, you end up at the infamous bumper section. This is the section that destroys casual players.
Really?
Okay, everyone was saying that
I feel like in my casual playthrough, we didn't struggle. I don't think we might have fallen once or twice, but it wasn't terrible.
there was a skip here.
The end was the worst for me because I climbed a wall for 6 hours.
Webby, you can skip this whole area. It's like bait. All right, say goodbye to the ramp, everybody. Chat, wave. We're not going to see that ramp ever again. What did I do? Wave, chat. Why did I do that? Why did I do that?
Now, bless his heart, even with diagrams and strategic planning, it took popular streamer Pay Money Wubby an hour and 45 minutes to get through this section, which is very normal. And let me
Very
say,
normal,
It
okay.
was damn entertaining to see him conquer this section.
One of the two positions is yours. They created a
Is that like a rubber mat?
There are speedrunners who are like, yeah, I'll just go do it in 2 minutes. I'll be back up.
Actually, Dan does it in 1:58, but potato. And what's really crazy is he does it without any crazy skips and makes a couple of mistakes along the way.
Okay.
Again, it's making great time.
You made it?
And moves in to middle management.
This is
In
mouse
my
pad?
opinion,
No, it's
this
like
is
a
where the
wrist
difficulty really starts to ramp
thing.
up. If you
Where
look
put
at
your
middle
wrists,
management and you're
touch your
confused
keyboard.
about where
So you don't get like this weird red spot on your wrist all the time from having it directly on the desk. My body is simply adapted and has a thicker part right here. It's created a pad to rest. He doesn't have those.
Well, that's because this section is intentionally designed to be a bit of a maze. The goal is to slowly work your way up the pyramid, but the normal player experience has
It's called evolution, chat, all right? Look it up.
a lot more looking around,
Not again.
crying,
Wubby just showed that he has weak wrists. Exactly.
yelling,
Okay.
more yelling.
That's crazy.
And A.
This game blows. This game blows.
But if you complete the normal route with no mistakes like Dan does, you conquer the maze that is middle management in 2 minutes and 25 seconds and move on to the second part of middle management that we call the giant slope. This section has you traversing jumps back and forth as you climb up to become department head and takes you into the last middle management section where Dan introduces the first truly major skip of the game. Now,
Okay.
normally, to beat the final section of middle management, you have to hit some very tricky, precise jumps that loop you around and back, and then hit a big final jump that
Yep.
if you screw up, will punish you severely and drop you all the way down.
Well, no!
Why,
instead, all the way
why
down.
was he not look? He was like looking away.
And then hit a
Wait.
big final jump. That
Why
if you
did
screw
Connor
up,
look away
will
here?
Punish you severely and drop you.
Also, wait. How did he get? How did he do that? Wait, hold on. This gameplay was not Connor's, I guess, or he maybe recreated it.
Up you all the way down.
Well, no.
Okay. I think that Connor clip is from somewhere else.
But instead of doing the big full loop, he just skips it. Let me explain. This is the wall bounce skip. My intention with this level was for the player to drive up to it, attempt to grab it, but realize that it's just out of reach.
It's
and to be
within
clear,
reach.
every player tries to hit the wall and get up. We knew about this. And so what Dan does is not easy, but at the perfect angle and speed, he bounces off the wall. And
Oh my god, yeah. This is Connor's gameplay because he's wearing a monkey suit. So that wasn't actually Connor's gameplay. Okay.
And so what Dan
it
does
wasn't
is
Sea-Dog's.
not easy, but at the perfect angle and speed, he bounces
I knew
off
it.
the wall and triggers the hang mechanic. This is the hang mechanic. When you grab onto a lower part of a ledge, the character enters ragdoll mode. And by waving the joystick around, you can flop around and come to terms with all of the progress you're about to lose when you let go. Unless, of course, your game mysteriously crashes.
The game crashed now. This is f***ing weird. Fuck,
Wow.
my driver's yet? Is it a patch or something?
However, if you time your flop properly, the momentum will give you a tiny bit of an upward lift, allowing you to recover from
That
platforms.
is such an awkward angle that they were playing at.
Let's go.
Now, this mechanic is intentionally janky. Flopping the character is fairly unintuitive, making recovery more difficult. But with good practice, you can really get some decent height.
Oh my god, I'm smelling it.
Now you can tell Dan is still learning the mechanics since it's day one, but with the perfect bounce, he can just barely trigger the hang grab, use that fling to fling himself up, shaving off 2 full minutes of regular run, taking him straight into the final section. Now, if the beginning of the game was a difficulty of 1 and middle management was a 5, the final section is a 20. This is where we take the gloves off and where most new players spend anywhere from 50 to 70% of their playtime.
I thought they were about to say hours.
Even our narrator, Sea-Dog VA, who reached the final section in 3.5 hours, which is fast, struggled with this section.
I'm the CEO. It's my company. I ousted everyone. I put the board of directors in power. They're mine.
Oh. Oh, that's all the way down.
No! I really thought I had that. What are the odds that we fail twice, chat? No!
And yes, we made a custom monkey skin just for him, and no, you won't be able to get it. Now, the section is comprised of 3 smaller rooms, and you have to jump between building to building to get to the next part.
The section
Every time
is
you have to
brutal.
cross, you have to do so via this double half-oval jump. And because there are 3 rooms, you have to do this jump 3 full times. And this jump is hard.
It is. It's
After missing
awkward.
twice, Dan clutches up and rips through the rest of the levels.
Yes.
Go Dan!
With no mistakes.
Nepotism
completes the game
wins!
No, it's a W. That's a W.
in an incredible time of 31:51, solidifying himself as the best speedrunner of the day 1 competition.
That's solid.
No.
That's solid.
No, that's not right. I don't think Dan won day 1. Did he?
Glitchless.
Nah, I'm just kidding. Speedrunners are crazy. We're just getting started for day
Okay.
1.
Yeah.
Didn't win?
Dan did not win.
Okay.
Oh, I thought Dan won.
Okay, my memory is correct.
Motherfucker, Dan wasn't even close.
Wow.
You see, while Dan was grinding for a good time,
That's me!
there were a plethora of other runners exploring the game in
Okay, so it seems like you can climb corners. I clipped out of bounds.
more
That was 18 minutes into my first playthrough. Happy birthday, SmallAnt. It wasn't my birthday. I'm Almofuri. Ryber. Smant is teaching us the hack the system in capitalism. That's what I'm thinking. I've clipped out of bounds.
One creative runner by the name of Sibidit had sent us a run with a very interesting discovery. Now,
Oh.
the first part of his run isn't particularly interesting. In fact, he does no skips in the run.
Yeah, what a boring run.
And it takes him 16 minutes to get to the unpaid internship.
That's so slow.
And
Dan would have been there in 10.
for context, Dan Corona was here in 7 minutes.
In 7.
But in Sibidit's submission form, he accidentally wrote that he got a time of 17:51.
He didn't accidentally
which
do that.
Makes no sense. Okay, I take that back. It makes perfect sense.
Is there patch notes yet?
Don't ask for patch notes, bitch.
Easy win.
Holy, that's a shortcut.
This is the jump pad ragdoll skip, and it's obviously pretty OP. Now, the rules of the competition had been pretty clear that something as broken as this wouldn't be allowed since it would ruin any skill in the game.
True.
And you can see that he messes up the skip a couple of times, and even still manages to skip all the way to the top. Luckily, Sibidit reached out very early on before he had committed to learning the skip, but I asked him to record
That's
a
a
run
sick
with the
jump.
skip anyway, because let's be real, this bug is hilarious. And very shortly after, other runners like SmallAnt found the jump pad bug.
Okay. Whoa, we got it. Holy!
By this point, it's getting late in the day, and several runners have started to grind the game,
Yeah, day one, I didn't do any runs, so I'm not gonna be mentioned yet.
trying to beat Dan Corona's time. Aspect had discovered in his first
The hair? What do you mean? He's bald.
playthrough that by grabbing onto certain physics-based items, it would, on rare occasion, cause the player's collider to freak out, launching them into the air.
Plain and simple.
Oh?
Unfortunately, after an hour of trying to make it work, it ended up being too hard to reproduce.
Shave my head and put on my suit. Oh, I'm outside the map.
We also probably would have banned it, so sorry, Spectacor.
Yeah.
But despite that being a flop, he discovered one of the most important skips of the day. This is the interview section, and I glossed over it because after the runners learned about this skip, no one ever runs it again.
Yeah.
For normal players, you have to go through these ovals that become increasingly tighter and tighter until you reach the top, where you have to hit a final, incredibly tight oval to complete the unpaid intern section. But a Spectacor discovers that as you're coming around the 4th floor, if you veer left, you can land on this recovery section.
I gotta know what this
Honestly, I thought that was an intended... Was this not an intended skip?
is. Oh, it is a skip.
And with this skip, you're right at the top, taking you straight to the final tightrope.
That
oval,
wasn't an
saving you
intended.
At least 30 seconds, if not more.
That was
And
just
with
supposed to be like a backup.
Spectacor starts grinding the game.
If you fall here. Oh.
Now, after 3 heartbreaking runs,
We got time for one more run.
all with promise to go sub 30,
My life, dude. We got time for like one more good
Spectacle.
run.
and all ending in the last 2 sections, a Spectacor had to concede and let other runners, like Frostkiller, take the reins.
Frostkiller
who
mentioned.
submitted his run at 5 a.m. Frostkiller introduced 3 major skips, plus a couple of minor ones that really pushed the run forward. Now, because of his low frame rate, his submission is a little nauseating to watch, so
Okay.
I've recreated it at 60 frames per second and kept his times up in the top left.
Bro just redid the run? For the video?
His first 2 sections were
Just to have a better frame rate section for like 2 minutes?
relatively standard, so we're gonna skip straight to the
Bro, Isto put in too much work into this video.
warehouse, where he's a full minute ahead. Just
I don't know
from
if I
clean
would've noticed.
execution. He pulls off the warehouse manager skip. By
The
hitting
effort.
the jump perfectly, you can get enough speed
Low FPS foreshadowing. Yeah.
to land to the left, saving 20 full seconds. Next, he heads to the unpaid intern section and introduces one of his biggest skips in the run. After doing his first full loop, he uses
Bro got the work. Yeah.
this berm to skip up to the 2nd floor, which gives him enough speed to jump all the way to the 4th floor. Meaning, instead of doing 3 laps like Dan had to do, he only has to do 2 laps. And now, he can use a Spectacor skip to shave a
Who won the second lockout? You gotta watch it, Cash Cab. Just watch it. It went well, though.
full 5 minutes off of Dan Corona's time. That's wild. But Frostkiller isn't done. Midway through the cog section, Frostkiller is about to complete the first major part, which has you hitting a massive jump that takes you into the company wine mixer. But
does
instead,
he turn right?
he flings with perfect precision to the right and skips this big roundabout loop, saving
Nice.
him 15 seconds as he proceeds into the bumpers.
The big cog
where he is
jump.
the first runner to successfully complete my pro gamers only route. Since the falls in the bumpers are so punishing, we thought it'd be kind of cheeky to add a much faster but more difficult route. And most people who try it
Pro gamers only!
end up regretting it.
Sorry, Granny.
But he pulls it off flawlessly on day 1, which is insane, and allows him to move on to middle management
I don't think I ever pulled that off in all of the runs that I did.
well ahead of Dan, where he introduces his final skip. In the pyramid section, the normal
The other skips were found, but I don't think I ever did that one.
route is incredibly windy, and one particular curve right here is an absolute run killer.
That really?
But instead of going right and winding all the way through the pyramid, well, it turns out, with the right angle and speed, you can just go left. Now, Dan also used this skip,
That's not intended?
but to my knowledge, either Frostkiller or SmallAnt found the skip, so I just included it in
Okay, yeah, in my casual playthrough, I did that. I didn't know that. Okay.
this run, where you can see just how big of a skip this is. And with no other new innovations up his sleeve, all he has to do is execute.
Okay.
And despite having a slower department head and vice president, Frostkiller crushes Dan Corona's
I don't know
time
what the
with a
intended way is.
23:48, shaving off 8 minutes and 3 seconds.
8 minutes.
And if you look at a breakdown of the 2 runs, you can see how big of a time save these skips had on the run, and they found them on the first day. It's so impressive. And what's so crazy is if you look at the achievements of the game, we created a secret achievement for players who beat the game in under 30 minutes, thinking that players maybe one day would break sub 30. And in the first day, Frostkiller went sub 25. But
Use
what's
that
even
every
more
single time?
mind-blowing is the fact that Frostkiller didn't win. Aha, I did it again. These
Is it Karem? Did Karem win day 1 as well?
speedrunners are crazy. The winner of day 1 came out of nowhere and submitted a run with an hour left. What's so interesting is that for most of his run, Karem doesn't innovate from Frostkiller at all,
He doesn't even go for my skip. Yo.
and definitely leaves some room for improvement in his execution.
Does he do the bumper? Does he do the bumper? Uh-huh.
Nice and slow. He doesn't even rip.
Oh, he does do it. He does do it.
And in
Patience.
fact, doesn't know about 3 big skips that Frostkiller uses.
He beats him without the
Doesn't skip left.
Doesn't skip
Interesting.
left.
He doesn't even go for the skip? What? Really? Really? It's like a 10-second time save. That's like a 10-second time No save. way. No Don't way. even go for the cog jump. Even the lower cog, which is totally free every run. He didn't go low
By
cog.
having a nearly perfect run,
Bro just doesn't make any mistakes.
It's like no screw ups. It's a very clean.
Karem is
Karem just didn't make any mistakes. Yeah, exactly.
only 16 seconds behind Frostkiller when he enters the bumpers.
Okay, how's he do this?
Oh, he just wings it. Oh my god.
You know, just like that
Okay,
guy.
pro
I get
gamer.
that a lot.
Straight down.
Does he pull it
Okay.
off? No, he just doesn't even bother.
Go straight for this one. I mean, this one is really nice and clean and
Mm-hmm.
reliable.
Very, very safe. Yeah, the intention is for people to discover it. That's why the sight lines are like lined up so you can kind of peer into it. Because I don't.
Oh!
Interesting.
That
Oh,
was
that's
a
clean.
sick-
Good
Very
for him.
clean.
Woo! What an angle on that. What an angle on that. Holy. Holy.
Now it turns out Frostkiller also.
Morph. I gotta say, I picked up that holy from you. That's how you say it. That's yours. I watched you once and I started saying it. I don't know why. It stuck so hard.
used that massive skip, and so heading into middle management, Karem is still 15 seconds behind, and unfortunately blunders his run, and like completely removing any of that frustrating slow parts.
Oh, he
hell is
fell.
this?
He made a mistake.
He must have just screwed up, unless.
Psych!
Okay, he just screwed up. Okay. Oh, okay, this is
Oh,
new.
he's trying
And that's
something.
a new strat. I did not know about that.
That's the type of thing that I wanted to see, because that saves me from the awful climb in that section.
This skip is huge and saves Karem from having to loop all the way around to go up a floor.
Yep.
And now the route is much simpler, and Karem is only
So
16
easy.
seconds behind. And because he isn't making any mistakes, by the time he enters the giant slope, he has completely caught up to Frostkiller.
Whoa.
Now, during the day, SmallAnt had made a huge discovery in the giant slope section.
I'm pretty sure it was someone from chat, wasn't it? Don't go into the corner in the building. Given sharper, you start higher on the second jump. What do you mean? Like, coming from like this angle, you mean? I'm giving you a sub.
And both Karem
Yeah, that was someone from chat.
and Frostkiller use this strategy, but Frostkiller goes left and Karem does not. As you can see, the skip lets them avoid doing all of this, which is huge. But when Frostkiller goes left, he's actually backtracking.
What are
and
you
now has
doing?
diminished the impact of his initial skip because he has to turn around and continue on the normal route.
SmallAnt discovers this, actively shows him getting told from chat.
Karem, on the other hand,
What are they doing now?
uses the little bump to get onto the ramp.
Really?
And now, Karem has skipped having to do both this and this. And without having to do any backtracking, Karem is now 15 seconds ahead. But he has one more trick up his sleeve. The last part of the giant slope section has
Big
him hitting
jump.
these massive slope jumps.
This was the worst jump in the whole run when I was doing runs.
And despite being wide, you actually have to follow the black lines pretty precisely to complete this section. But Karem ignores the black lines and hits a different route.
We don't do that. Unless this is related to... What? Okay.
Karem has found the biggest skip of the entire day because the normal route has you going through the inside of the building along this incredibly
Took
slow
forever.
tightrope section that you can't speed through. This platform is just too tight, and if you screw up, the run's dead. It happened to a Spectacore.
That's back to core. You didn't do SmallAnt skip. You could have done it faster.
And now Karem is 50 seconds ahead of Frostkiller as he heads into the final section where he's the first to find any skip, albeit small, in this final section.
Oh.
Now, the first two rooms are completely standard, but again,
Okay.
nearly perfect execution. This guy isn't missing anything.
Of course he gets it.
And then he introduces his final skip.
It's the first one.
Oh, he skips 3.
It's the fourth
This
one.
was crazy.
Lines off the- whoa,
Okay, that
whoa.
one's crazy.
That is crazy.
Oh, that is
That's risky.
This is still day
so
one.
nervous this far into the run.
Yeah. That's
That
a big
is
ball.
Karem was doing this day one,
huge. That was so clean.
right?
Holy. And completes the run, winning the day one competition with a monstrous time of 20:46, 3 minutes faster than Frostkiller and 11 minutes faster than Dan Corona. With the first leg complete, we entered the second leg of the competition that this time
The second leg of 3. There are 3 legs.
lasted 2
It was a spider that had a severe,
days
serious
instead of one.
accident.
And so began the quest to go sub 20. And for the first day, no competitive times were submitted until at 3 a.m. Dan Corona submitted a new run with a ton of new strats.
Nepotism
You see, during the
wins!
day, we had
Yeah,
noticed there were two groups
Dan!
formed. Those that were very interested in discovering strats, bugs, and wild skips, and the grinders who were
Scientists.
interested at getting really good at the game. Dan Corona started calling the strat finders the scientists,
Yep.
which I quite like, so I'm going to use it.
Yep.
And in our Discord, they were hard at work cooking up new tech in the lab and sharing their results. Dan had taken all of those findings and was trying all night to combine them into one cohesive run. Dan had 3 major skips and 2 minor ones, but couldn't string them together. And coming off of a devastating run that was ruined by a very rare bug where you fall off the slingshots, which is now fixed, Dan's mental was at an all-time low.
I'm 1630 in the second to last area of the game, and I get stuck.
And
You
since
could
he
do
had
it,
work in
Dan.
the morning, this was his last run of the night.
Nepotism. Come on.
The first part of his run is very standard, so we're actually going to start in the warehouse, because during the day, no one cooked harder on strats than SmallAnt. He was the first to discover that I had placed a very sneaky slingshot
It seems like
here.
landing here.
Okay.
going here, going
I
in
cooked.
this, then landing directly on this. Nice. That's so clean, dude. That's so cool.
Now, because it was OP, my intention was for it to be hard to get to. You had to hit this horizontal slingshot, dive through the upper hole, into a jump, down this giant tube that shoots you out, land on this tiny section of the ramp and pop up, and voila, you can use the slingshot to rocket you up.
Yep.
And runners like a Spectacore were trying to learn this route, but weren't having much luck.
What am I doing here? I don't belong here. Oh, motherfucker.
Fortunately, SmallAnt discovers that you don't need to do the hard part.
That's a cheeky cut. Wait, hold on.
Here.
Mother.
Oh, motherfucker.
Fortunately.
SmallAnt discovers that you don't need to do the hard part.
Yeah, it's only like 4 or 5 seconds slower.
If you're off from the intended route, you can ride the wall to access the slingshot.
Yep.
Now, it's not as fast as the route I had in mind for the
It's 4 seconds, man. It's really not that big of a deal.
runners, but it still saves Dan a ton of time.
Yes.
Moving up to the unpaid intern section, Dan makes a minor improvement to the interview skip, where if you hit it perfectly, you can skip up, avoiding going lower. Now, it's a minor
Nice.
skip, but this will come into play later on, so I wanted to point it out. Now, this is not a perfect run, and Dan makes some pretty big mistakes, so there's some real room for improvement. But the skips he
Dan!
introduces in the last section are so big that he can afford to.
My
In fact,
nepotism
after ripping
king!
through middle management, Dan is actually 14 seconds behind Karam's original run. But again, because SmallAnt and the other scientists were cooking so hard during the day, Dan is armed with some new strats and hits
Yup.
this gray section bumping left. Now, I think now's a good
That's
time
mine.
to explain the final section of the game.
Oh, yeah.
This is the first
Link to the video. There you go.
part, the department head section. And to start, you hit these jump pads in a massive loop. But by hitting the gray rail, you can just skip all of it.
Yep.
The rest of the department head section combines everything the players have learned throughout the rest of the game. You have jump pads, winding and precise jumps that are chained together, and the slanted ramps from middle management.
Pin.
It's windy, it's so punishing, and it's slow. And up until now, it's lacking any
stop typing.
major skips. But during the day, speedrunner Hikazi shared a new strat with Dan.
Go up this wall, get into this crack, and you just ride along it. Boom. Saves you 3 or 4 seconds if you go full speed.
And now the tables have turned, and Dan is 14 seconds ahead of Karam.
Oh, I forgot about this skip.
And now,
You just ride along it.
with Dan.
Go up this wall, get into this crack, and you just ride along it.
Yeah, that was a
Boom.
crazy.
Saves you 3 or 4 seconds if you go full speed.
And now the tables have turned,
Crazy
and Dan is 14 seconds ahead of Karam.
I'm like a monorail, bitch.
But Dan has one final trick up his sleeve. This is Karam's original route. He hits every jump pad
Gross.
and follows the normal route.
So
But Dan
suboptimal.
skips the jump pads, rides the corner, and instead of going straight, he hooks right.
Yeah.
And now the route looks like this. Now, I'm not
So
sure who found
simple.
it first, because earlier in the day, SmallAnt had found an even more optimized version where you just use the jump pads, saving even more time.
That's what we need to learn how to do, baby. Yeah, we figured that one out.
But Dan seems to create his own variation, so they probably discovered it each on their own.
Yes.
And with that, Dan clutches up with his last run of the night and gets a world record.
It's not sub 20, but it's world record still, boys. Let's fucking go.
And with the
Dan.
2023, the quest to break sub 20 inches closer.
Who broke sub 20
Dan
first?
continues to hold the world record for nearly 24
Probably
hours
Karam.
until Frostkiller submits a
Frostkiller,
new run
never mind.
with 1 minor skip and 2 massive skips. The run starts off pretty standard until he reaches the warehouse. And again, I had to recreate his run since the low frame rate is pretty hard on the eyes. Now, Frostkiller has learned about my secret slingshot, and despite not going for my intended route, he's found a minor adaptation where he hooks right, skipping a ton of extra route. Again, a minor change, but once we move into the junior financial analyst section, he pulls off the infamous
Wine mixer skip. Yeah!
First discovered by speedrunner Shikens, after you launch off the last cog, you have to land this massive gap and run right to continue your path.
Frick
But if
that,
you
bro.
time it perfectly and ride the wall all the way up, you can actually land at this high point.
Huge
and to
time
illustrate
save.
how big of a time save this is, you can see that by doing the wine mixer skip, you eliminate having to do all of this, which shaves off nearly a full minute
Yep.
from Dan's run. Now, beyond this, his run is pretty standard, but because of the wine mixer skip and by only making a couple of mistakes, by the time he enters the department head section, he's 2 full minutes ahead of Dan. And then, while crossing the gap into the final section,
He falls.
Frostkiller misses the jump and lands in the recovery section.
That's on purpose. It's on purpose.
You see, because this jump is so hard, I created a bit of a recovery. So if you mess up,
Yo, it's Peachy.
1, you don't fall all the way back down to the bottom. But 2, this little jump will launch you all the way back to the half oval jump.
And she's bald.
Try one more time. And most people do manage to get across their second try.
Yeah.
But Frostkiller actually doesn't mess up and has a different plan.
Yeah.
He drops down.
The bounce
and with perfect
pad.
precision, hits this recovery jump pad and
Doing.
skips all the way up. Now, when you see it done, it seems so OP and so easy.
It's so
But
obvious.
when I was building it, it wasn't obvious at all and really only works at this very specific angle and speed.
No, it kind of works at any
Speedrunners,
angle or
am I
speed.
right?
I'm
Now,
just gonna be
the skip,
honest.
which was first discovered by Ulakrov,
You're crying. You made it into the video. You're bald.
actually 2 seconds slower than Dan's route, but it's the catalyst to something much bigger
Immortalized.
later on in the competition, so I had to show it. And with that, Frostkiller shatters the sub-20 barrier with a time of 18:29.
Frostkiller's crazy.
For the next 12 hours, the competition is unsuccessful in dethroning Frostkiller's time. And with 12 hours left, most of the hardcore grinders had started to focus on the last leg of the competition, which, unlike legs 1 and 2, was glitchless. And with 2 hours left in the competition, a new runner, who was also focused on glitchless, submits a new run. This is Elving, who submitted a run with only a couple of minor
Elving.
tweaks to Frostkiller's, but just really improves
I
on the
don't recognize that
execution.
name.
Starting in pendulums, he's the first person to successfully chain these pendulums together. Now, it's not that big of a time save,
It
but
sucks.
it's so hard to do.
Yeah.
During development, I could never do it, so I wanted to highlight it. I think it's really cool. And Elving is finally the first person to use my warehouse skip.
It only
which,
saves
if you
4
can't tell,
seconds.
I'm kind of happy about because I put in a lot of work to create it.
It only
to top
saves 4
off,
seconds.
His execution is basically flawless. I mean, he is hitting every jump perfectly, getting the perfect amount of height. It's pretty impressive. And that puts him 10 seconds ahead of Frostkiller. Again, in middle management, a minor tweak to the route, where he uses a new SmallAnt strat.
Okay. Grab. Hold left. Up, 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 up. Good, good, good. All right.
Over on the giant slope, he uses another SmallAnt skip that saves a ton of back and forth. This is Frostkiller's route. And like I said, it's a big old back and forth.
Trademarked. Trademarked, by the way.
And this
I'm getting paid for that.
ledge is too high for players to get up, so you have to go around. Unless, of course, you hit it perfectly, like Elving does. And it does have a bit of backtracking, but it is a lot faster.
Yep.
And with no other skips, he closes out his run with a beautiful 18:17, shaving off 12 seconds
Why isn't Dan Corona in first? Nepotism should win.
from Frostkiller's time to take first place in the
Dan,
second leg with
go
a
beat
glitchless
Elfing.
run, no less. Now, going glitchless in a leg that allowed glitches surprised me. I thought glitches would play a big role, but between runners being hyper-focused on the final leg, which was worth the most money, and with the glitches that were being found not making that big of a difference in time,
A little rat climb.
it turned out to not
Wait. Wall climbing was
be the case.
a glitch?
Until 30
I didn't know that.
minutes before the deadline,
Karem.
submitted another run.
Yeah.
And I hope you're ready to buckle up because this mother did it again with 6 major innovations.
Yeah.
Now, I just wanted to start by playing a tiny bit of his run throughout the parkade. I've really glossed over the parkade because, to be honest, there haven't been any crazy skips, but
he's
it's
so
just kind of
smooth.
satisfying to see someone run the optimal route. And admittedly, it's quite easy to learn this part of the run. Pretty much
What's that video? It's the pin message.
every runner is doing this no problem, which means if you're interested in speedrunning the game, I'm just saying, this part is doable and the game is available on Steam and Xbox. Anyway, Karem continues to hit the perfect route, and like other runs in Leg 2, only really starts to innovate in the warehouse, where he introduces probably the most famous
top
and
grab?
most impactful skip of the entire competition. Seen a
The
ton of
top
innovations.
grab.
Someone found my slingshot, which is really exciting, so I think there's...
What the f was that? Wait, go
I-
back. Is he like wiggling his controllers? What is he doing? Okay. He just gets like a ton of vertical air.
There's the
That's
top
cool.
grabs.
Nice job coding it, Isto. I would have done that. I would have.
Oh my god.
It's okay, bro.
Do you know how long we tested the slingshot for?
This whole
This
game's
is...
broken.
Any top grabs
Don't do it
here?
again. Don't do it again.
There's no way. He just skipped the entire level. He just skipped the
That's
entire
great.
level. I don't
Oh,
understand.
this speedrun's gonna end up being 30 seconds.
Given how important this skip is, I think it's worth explaining what's happening. First discovered on day 1 by runner Hello S, and then refined by Big Willie that
Big
same day,
Willie!
it turns out that if you grab it at the very top of the slingshot, it produces some unexpected results.
Wait a second. I think you're onto something.
Many days after the speedrun competition, we finally figured out what is actually happening.
Okay, what the heck happened?
Here's what the physics system sees. These are the slingshot's colliders. In the normal case, the player grabs onto the slingshot, and on release, we apply a fixed velocity to the player. This is so they always launch in the same direction and at the same speed. It makes the slingshots more dependable and more fun.
Okay.
But if you are a sneaky speedrunner and roll up the slingshot and grab the top, the slingshot and the player's collider will get out of sync and the player can end up here. Why that happens, it's complicated, so we're just gonna skip the explanation. But when they do get out of sync, the physics system goes, wait a second, you're not supposed to be inside of the slingshot.
Oh, it pushes us up and adds it together.
I better try to push you out. But at the exact same time, our slingshot system goes, time to apply the velocity to you, good sir, and send you on your way. And the two get added together, giving you this. So not only does Karem get shot straight up, but he has found a way to get more velocity from the slingshots than we had ever intended. It's insane. And because of that, he clears the entire warehouse in 1 minute and 30 seconds, which is 30 seconds faster than Elving.
Yeah.
He continues to run a clean, unpaid intern and junior financial analyst.
Top grabs
and
go
by
crazy.
the time he gets to middle management, he has continued to hold a 30-second lead. But everything in middle management and beyond is where Karem truly shines.
Regular standard stuff. And then now he's like, this is normally a recovery route. Like, I don't know.
Tiny bump to get jump.
I don't know what he's doing. This is recovery, like slingshot.
No, he's gonna break your.
Oh! Of course.
Now, other runners like Froskular knew about the top grab, but it's tricky, and even he could
That top grab sucks.
pull it off and had to resort to a different route. But Karem's execution is top notch and lands him 3 levels higher. And you don't need to top grab to do this skip. You can do it pretty much every time by using the slingshot normally, but Karem is just flexing on the haters as he prepares to move into the giant
Karem
slope.
is
where
he's
he
the
has
goat.
another
He
trick
works
up
too
his
hard.
sleeve.
I mean, he just skipped all of middle management. He skipped
Oh,
like
but
the
just
whole
wait.
damn
Just
thing.
wait. This was mine. I came up with this one.
Oh no.
That's my strat. Fun
By
fact.
hitting this lower ledge, he carries the momentum from the slingshot to ride up the slope. And if you look at the normal middle management route and compare it to Karem's, it's so nasty. I mean, just look at how windy the original is, and he just skips it all. And normally, this path forces you into this exit point, where you just can't generate enough speed. But his skip lets him carry so much momentum, he can just ride straight up. Even compared to the other runners who have to backtrack, it's just such a big time save. At the top of the giant slope, he of course pulls off his signature skip.
Time to see how the greats do it. Genuinely though, like look at this gameplay.
That's an
And
insane
then,
jump.
by using the wall bump skip, he enters the department head section a full minute and a half ahead of Elvin,
Yep.
and doesn't waste any time introducing a new skip.
More top
No, I'm worried.
grabs.
There's another slingshot. I don't.
Where are you going?
Wall climb?
Where is
That's
he?
so much height.
Wait, why is he pausing?
I don't know why.
Why is he?
You see, Karem has paused the game to open up a metronome that is playing at exactly 215 beats per minute, and then proceeds to climb
This is
straight up the wall.
This is a bad look, Isto. We're cooked.
And if you're wondering if you can just climb up every single wall in the game, you cannot. This is just the magic of speedrunners. Let me explain. This is SmallAnt. He's a speedrun-focused streamer who picked up the game on day 1, and on his first playthrough, he discovered that some walls are climbable.
What if we just like Spider-Man over there?
And before even beating the game, he climbed.
Come on.
And he climbed. And he climbed. And to beat the punishing final level, you must jump back and forth between 2 very tall buildings. Unless, of course, you just climb the whole thing.
Bro, what are you doing? What, is he mashing his way up the building? He's been like this for 10 minutes? Where is he even in the context of the level?
This is the grab mechanic, and there's 3 major pieces to understanding how he's breaking the game the way that he is.
That's
The
how I
grab
hurt my
acts as a
hands,
braking
yeah.
system for the players to slow down. When you're going really fast on flat ground, you slide a bit and then stop. It's incredibly helpful on tight platforms and giving the players more control over your very slippery character. And when you're on steep slopes and vertical walls, the player can grab and slow themselves down.
No. No.
This lets them evaluate where to fall to, which again makes the game a little less punishing, because let's be real, it's a pretty punishing game. Lastly, we added what we call the release boost, which gives the player a tiny boost of speed right after they release the grab.
I didn't get carpal tunnel from that, but my finger hurt a little bit by the end of the day 1. We took it easy.
During development, players kept slipping off the edge and getting really frustrated because it felt like they should be able to scooch over the edge. You see, behind the scenes, the player is actually a giant ball. This is what the system sees, a big old ball rolling around. The player model doesn't affect gameplay at all, so when the ball approaches a ledge, you can see that this point of no recovery visually makes sense. Your brain goes, of course the ball would slip off the edge. But the model looks like it should be able to recover. And video games are all about what feels right, so we created a mechanic called the release boost. When you release the grab, we increase the friction on the ball for 1/4 of a second. And when you're on the edge or on a wall, that extra friction helps the ball just squeak over the edge. Unless, of course, you furiously spam the grab, which essentially gives the ball a permanent friction boost.
He's a gamer. Ah!
Now, we knew about this, so we tagged every piece of geometry in the game as either slippery or non-slippery. Slippery geometry, which you can see is on the walls and vertical objects, stops the system from applying the extra friction, so you can't spam the grab button and climb all over the place. The system is foolproof. You cannot cheat the system, unless the level designer, aka me, forgets to add the correct tags to a handful of geometry, and a particularly motivated speedrun streamer tests every piece of geometry in the entire game on day 1.
Oops.
Now when that happens, well, it turns out the entire final section of the game can be skipped. However, wall climbing is incredibly inconsistent. That's why SmallAnt spent 10 minutes just climbing the last wall, and none of the other runners like Dan could figure out how to make it consistent. Until one of the scientists posted a video of him climbing. Cividit asks why there's a random clicking noise in the background, in which he casually responds, metronome. Because apparently, if you repeatedly tap the grab key at 215 beats per minute, you can consistently wall climb. Which also means he probably tried so many different BPMs to make this work, which is insane, impressive, probably both. And Karem has discovered one additional thing. Apparently, if you increase your frames per second, you can climb faster, which is why his frames go from 60 to unlimited. But Karem, armed with top grabs and a metronome, skips the entire department head section and is the first person to finally find a skip in the second last room.
The top grab.
Top grab.
Oh, the top grab skip.
Ooh, risky one.
Oh, he's doing another top grab.
Or a top grab. Straight up.
Yeah.
Lands
The top
on here.
grab
There's no speed on
era.
this? Oh,
Whack.
we need
Has
to
to
flip.
Oh my god.
You didn't have to flip there, I
Just
think.
to barely do it. Wow.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think there's enough speed on that one. Yeah, that's funny.
Again, another massive time save that carries him through to the end of the run with a staggering 1450,
Karem's
nearly
crazy.
2.5 minutes faster than Elving, earning him first place in both leg 1 and leg 2. And with that, it was time to move on to the final leg of the competition, the Glitchless run. With 6 days to grind and the biggest prize pool,
That was day 3?
everyone was
We were doing top grabs on day 3?
focused on winning this leg of the race.
What?
And because it was glitchless, Karem's winning run wasn't valid for this leg, setting the world record back to 1817, which also reopened the quest to go sub 15.
Wait, are top grabs
But
glitches?
it wasn't long before that was broken because SmallAnt had been grinding.
I got a world record?
Now, while SmallAnt rips through the parkade, I wanted to
I got a world... I didn't know I had the... Did I have...
explain the rules of the final leg. You can't
Really? It must have been for like an hour.
clip out of bounds. Wall climbing is allowed since it's an intended feature, but we patched the really important walls to not be climbable like the end section. And our whole team met and decided that top grabs should be kept in permanently as a feature, not a bug, since they're so cool. And because of those rules, most of SmallAnt's run is pretty much the same as Karem's, except for the final section, because we patched out the wall climb. This means that runners have to start from scratch and reinvent how to run this final section. Now, the top grab you're seeing here looks big, but it turns out to be a very minor skip that really only saves a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
Because without the wall climb, they're forced to drop down to the main entrance. And if you remember, this section is slow and tedious. And yes, there are some minor skips like veering left at this jump pad, and believe it or not, SmallAnt bungles up this skip, and now he has to do the full route. So without the wall climb, the runners were at a massive
Nice
disadvantage
bait.
that I
Nice bait.
think will make sub 15 impossible. This skip, first found by Discord user Anton, lets you essentially skip the entire department head section.
Yeah.
And it seems pretty simple, but it's actually pretty tricky, and the skip is quite elegant. So let me explain. The
It's
way the
tricky.
jump pad normally
It's tough.
works is when you enter this red zone, the jump pad will apply an upward force to the player. So if you come in from a normal angle, the player's velocity will look like this, and adding the jump pad's velocity to the player results in this, and they happily bounce away.
Doing.
But if you were to collide with the lower section, well, most of the time you splat against the wall.
Blup.
But if you can hit the wall just under the speed threshold that doesn't cause you to splat, you'll bounce up. And if your collider is even a fraction within the jump pad's collider, it will trigger the bounce, which, by the way, isn't easy to do. But if you pull it off, the player's velocity is now pointing up, and so the resulting velocity is also up. And after a clean VP section, SmallAnt is the first to use the Lord Mouse skip. Lord Mouse had been actively submitting runs, but other runners had been so cracked that I haven't had a chance to show him. Skipped quite a bit. But all credit goes to him for finding this one.
I found that one myself. It was independently found, I guess, by a couple people.
And not only is the normal route slow and windy, but it's also hard. So by hitting the jump pad, you could just skip that hard section. And with just those 2 new skips alone, SmallAnt manages to claim a new world record.
1643. I never saw a 17 or an 18, and I never will. 2 quick ones.
But only several hours after, Dan Corona strikes back with only a very minor...
Oh, it's because right. I didn't, I never had the world record because I thought Karem's was glitchless. But apparently I did.
...optimization in the parkade, and then transitions that into a pendulum skip.
Ooh, I could have sent it there.
And takes the world record back with a 16:29. By day 5, the quest to go sub 15 continues as runners Not Edge introduces a minor skip in middle management where he top grabs to get a little more height. And with good technique, runs a 15:43, shaving 45 seconds off of Dan Corona. But at the exact same time that Not Edge takes the world record, Dan Corona was grinding the game and was having, oh my god,
No, Dan.
a tough day. With fall after fall after fall, he wraps up the day with the exact same time as Not Edge with a 15:43. But unfortunately, it didn't matter because SmallAnt had the better execution of the day. And with only one tiny tweak, where the runners learned that riding around the curve in middle management was actually faster, and with good execution, SmallAnt is the first to go sub 15.
Really?
14:59. That's the sub 15, baby.
But the battle between Dan and
Let's
SmallAnt
go!
wasn't over.
The first sub 15!
And Dan decides that the only way to win is to think outside the box.
I need to lock in. We gotta think of other ways. How do we lock in?
Go
and become
bald!
a world record holder? There's only one answer.
Bald!
Now we're ready to get world record, chat. Now we're ready.
And with added aerodynamics, he shaves off 9 seconds to set a new world record of 14:50.
Yeah.
Go, baby! Let's go!
But despite
Nepotism
this world record,
wins!
Dan has made some mistakes in the final section,
No.
leaving some room for improvement. And Karem capitalizes
Okay,
on that.
and then
Despite
Karem
not
just beats
introducing
everybody.
Any new skips, submits a 13:58,
Yeah.
shaving off 14 seconds just from pure execution alone. And now there's almost
Yeah.
no room for improvement until new skips are found.
Well.
But I said almost no room for improvement.
Yeah.
And Dan Corona comes back with a vengeance with a generational run devoid of any major mistakes.
Get there. Oh, never
Except
mind.
for that one. And unfortunately, it's the end of the weekend and the start of the work week, which means Dan is done grinding. But more importantly, by day 7, Karem has found some new tech.
What?
Now, for the sake of suspense and for brevity, I'm going to show where the skips are, but reveal them in the final winning run. But what's so interesting about this submission is for the very first time, someone has found innovations in the first 2 sections. What they are, you'll have to wait and see. But they're big enough that Karem secures a new world record of 12:36.
12
Tons
minutes.
of runners were trying to catch up, but just couldn't. A Spectacore P
So you didn't know you had a world record? I didn't know I had a world record, no.
Speed with a 15:20, Ihimaida with a 15:05, Crosskiller ran a 13:22, and Bronze Blaze ran an impressive 13:08. But again, not enough. Until day 8, where a brand new runner emerged.
Yeah, day
This
2.
is Lance, the former only up world record holder who had learned about the game only a couple of days prior and had been grinding offline. Even though he didn't submit this run,
Offline?
word had gotten out that he had beaten the world record. So I reached out and got a hold of the footage
What?
and verified that it was in fact true, because Lance and Not Edge had figured out a massive skip in the last section. But with the skip being held secret, Lance's time of 12:12 was the first run to truly put Karem in the hot seat.
was a secret?
For all of day 9, Karem
Lance was strat hiding?
and the other runners were unsuccessful in dethroning Lance's time. And on the final day, day 10, Lance's time remained untouched. And with 12 hours left, no response from Karem. 10 hours, no response.
Karem beats
8
him.
hours, no response. But with only 6 hours left, Karem submits an 11:46.
That's right, Karem.
With 3
That's
massive
right.
skips and 3
That's
minor
my
skips,
goat.
The innovations are starting to pile up. That whole night, Lance had been grinding to beat his time, and with only 5 hours left, Lance PBs with an 11:55, 9 seconds short of Karem, and then concedes, revealing his strats to the rest of the competition, leaving Karem victorious. With 4 hours left, Bronze Blaze goes 12:26, but again, not enough. And with 3 hours left, a runner by the name of Space Hunter comes out of nowhere and submits an 11:41, shaving off 5 seconds of a time that took Karem all week to get. And when I say come out of nowhere, I mean they didn't submit any runs prior, and their only message in the Discord was a link to their run and their time.
That's
and now
what
there's
a
not
flex.
enough time to respond, and
Nah,
the clock
Karem
continues
beats
to
this.
run down. With 2 hours left,
Karem
Karem
beats it.
cannot beat the time, and the clock continues to run down.
Karem's
And
the
with
goat.
an hour left, Karem can't beat the time.
Yeah, you can.
And now that it's over, a ton of other runners are starting to submit their best times.
What?
And I want to highlight the ones that went sub 15, especially Brandwagon.
Spacey Hunter did it!
12-minute. And of course, Karem with a wait.
There
an
we go! That's my
11:40
goat!
Submitted with 50 minutes left, he manages
Oh, yeah.
to go 1 second faster. 1! Talk about clutch.
There it is!
Now, before I show the winning run, I just want to thank everyone who ran the game and to everyone who submitted, especially to our winner. That's right, baby. It's not over.
It's
The winning
Karem.
time was ran live with 20 minutes left by the only runner who had any chance of beating Karem himself. That's right. In the very last hour, Karem goes 11:40 and then shaves off another 12 seconds to guarantee his win. For the sake of entertainment, I'm actually going to show off Karem's 9:57 that he runs a week later.
Okay.
Since it's exactly the same, but with 2 more massive skips.
All right, let's see the
Enjoy.
run.
Okay. I don't feel like there's too many shortcuts in this game. I guess
What?
Oh mein Gott, das wird so satisfying jetzt.
Look at this. Bop.
What the heck was that?
Ja.
Das war ein kleiner Skipper, den er hier genommen hat.
It's a big jump. Oh, then these pads. They found these
I'm sorry,
pads.
what the fuck? Wait. What the fuck did he just do?
I saw these, but then I forgot about him.
This jump is crazy.
In 30 seconds.
Why are there bouncy pads there? Ride the wall.
They were there the whole time.
Holy shit.
Why are there bouncy pads? Is that literally a dev path?
Yes, it is.
What just happened?
That's what I'm saying. Look at this smoothness.
Is these without stopping?
Look at this smoothness.
No way.
He's crazy.
Oh my god, that was fast. Good RNG. Good RNG.
Oh, bad RNG.
Terrible RNG.
He almost reset.
He almost
Did he
quit.
consider quitting there? What was that?
Bro, he almost quit because he got bad RNG. Wow.
His
Bad
camera
fall.
movement's so good.
I'm glad he kept fighting.
Ah, nee, das ist nicht der Start, ne? Das ist ein anderes. Ja, ich erinnere mich. Das ist ein Fake-Start.
No.
Oh, this part. I remember this part. I was so frustrated.
This is he's so smooth here.
You want to lead where your next
He
jump
saves
is.
like
He's gonna
2
lead right
seconds
again.
on this room just because he's smoother.
Damn, okay.
On me.
Shit, I was unfamiliar with your
I
game.
remember I was
Hits
like
this, tight corner, hits
so
this.
frustrated because he just plays better.
You can do that?
Another FPS change. I wonder why you have to change. I mean, I guess you don't.
You get
lose
higher
time.
top grabs, baby.
On the underside of the bounce pad?
Yep.
Oh mein Gott, was?
Wait, there's nothing in there. What would you...
Yep. Top grab.
Bro, halt's Maul. Holy shit.
I would have done that too. What the fuck was this jump pad?
Where-
What the
where
hell is
even
that
was
jump
that?
pad? What the fuck is going on?
Piece of shit.
He's lowering the FPS? What does that do? Does that like supercharge you off or something?
Wait,
Yep.
like, wait, skips
It
the
does.
thing? Oh my god.
That's a
you
tough
can
Doesn't
jump.
make sense gravitationally.
I wouldn't have made that mistake.
Yeah, the pauses are pushing his frame rate, so I think.
Why
top
does the
grabs are
German
weird.
sound so silly?
Whoa. Whoa.
Nice guy. I should do that.
Wait, what
are you
is
doing?
this?
What is he doing?
Oh, this saved like 1 second, and it was so not worth it.
What the fuck are you doing?
That was like a 1 second time save.
Bro!
All of that.
Wait, that's so sick.
It
What about
is.
this room?
This
He's
is
so
basic
smooth
for
on
a
this.
CEO. Okay.
Oh, nice. That's smooth.
He won by 1 second. No, he won by 13 seconds.
Finde ich, gab es nur einen crazy Skip, ansonsten macht das
Ein
auch
crazy
einfach
skip.
Further bounce. Oh, does it only work on the jump pads?
Okay, what does he do here? Is there anything different?
Okay, so this one you skip the floor for. I probably do this a similar skip to this guy.
Oh, just nice little corner.
Yeah, just
Nice
clean.
corner there. Hits this, hits the no, hits the bottom.
I guess they go from second floor to fourth. Oh.
No. First to second,
very
second to
nice.
fourth,
Okay, that's a
baby.
neat little skip.
What?
Yeah.
Eat it a little more optimally, I guess.
He did. Than you. Just like a little bit.
Peasant.
Yeah, every jump is very smooth, yeah.
A little more shallow than I think he's trying to get there faster, which makes a lot of sense.
What?
Trying to get max height. And then
Oh,
max
this
height,
does he
and
actually
then-
make this reverse jump?
Yeah.
What?
Crazy.
Yeah,
That's so hard.
Doesn't have to go all the way over and go. That's cracked. That's so
Okay.
cracked.
He does have like stitch hands. Feels like he's got extra paws.
I knew about that, but man, I tried.
Yeah, just drives over it.
The exact right spot. Then bounce.
That's good. No grab.
Okay, this is there's no cheating the cogs.
Oh yeah, this is super smooth.
What's he do here? Like angles his body, hits the thing.
Just so
boom,
smooth.
Boom, never slows down. Doesn't do a full wheel turn.
Das hier ist alles super, super, super easy, sag ich.
Super, super,
Der macht
super
das sehr
easy.
gut, sehr schnell.
Cogs is cogs. People are calling it a squeak skip. It's probably not accurate, but
And I guess they skip all the way up the wall here.
Bro, I didn't know I knew
Oh my
German.
God, the height.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
fuck yeah. Oh my god, he nailed it.
Sorry.
What the fuck?
Bro, what the fuck?
What?
What the fuck? Okay, das ist ein verrückter Skip.
Oh, he didn't say crazy skip that time.
Holy shit.
I'm just happy I got the collectibles. Getting collectibles in these games is so painful because they tend to be like very risky to do.
Oh, this room's crazy, right? Doesn't he go for the insane thing?
this section busted my balls. This section is hard.
Well, just look at this.
What?
Look at this. Look at this.
Oh
Insane.
mein Gott, hier ist der Hut.
Bro, what the fuck was that? Dude, that's cracked.
Yeah,
It's
but he didn't get the hat chat. So did he really beat the game?
Factually, it is. Okay, I thought there might be a way to skip that. Oh.
Oh my god, he held onto the ledge to save a second.
yeah, so you don't get the
skip
bonk.
it. Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Wrong way.
No,
I know this, I
idiot,
can't do
stupid. You never watched a
Definitely
speedrun
the wrong
before?
Hier war ich auch so lange stuck. Bro, was?
How did he jump?
Was hat er gemacht?
Marginally.
Oh, what?
Boop.
What? No, you can't do that. No, you just can't do that.
Okay, he's gonna go to the
Top
left here, I
grab.
think.
Bop. Does he do pyramid skip? Pyramid scheme?
Alter, what the
No,
fuck?
he doesn't do pyramid scheme. Okay.
Gets here, turns around.
Yeah. Yeah. I went right. I think you're supposed to go
Is he
right.
top grab here?
Okay, auch lief, okay.
No, okay.
Okay. Oh.
Digga, halt's Maul.
Bap.
Halt's Maul, Digga.
All right.
Was?
That skips a lot.
What in the fuck am I watching?
Gaming.
Are we playing the same game?
Yep.
Interesting. What is he doing now?
Okay. Oh, that's a fail. Okay, some improvement.
Is
to
that
be
a fail? Was that a fail?
Wait, what is he doing?
I can't remember if that was a fail. Oh, this just goes up, right?
Wait, where are you going?
Wait, up there too?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Oh my god. Bro just skipped half
Okay, you have to go in the hole.
What the fuck?
Wait, what? Where's he going?
I needed to learn this. This would have made the run so much better
don't
for
tell
me.
You can skip this entire section.
Oh my god.
That's some horse shit.
It's crazy.
Dude, he's like in the ending rooms at 7:30.
Digga, warte mal, was? Warte mal. Was hat er hier?
What's he doing now? Why is he changing the FPS?
Top grad time.
That's insane.
Oh my god. No way.
What an angle.
No way.
No way.
Wait, why would you go down there? You could have done the other jump.
Wow.
He saved himself too. Wow.
Oh,
Hot.
no, he's gonna break the game, isn't he?
Doing. Skipping all of it.
No, you can't get up. No.
You can.
Oh, okay.
No. And you don't even need to go on the ramp. I'm a moron.
Dude, this is crazy.
What? Oh, when you skip that part?
Yeah, I should be doing that. That's just easy.
Just wait for the top grab.
I do remember this place. I spent most of my playthrough was this place.
What is that settings menu?
45 FPS. Top right.
I'm low-key world record
This
pace. Okay, this
Where are
is
you going?
cheating,
No,
right?
no way.
He's cheating. Bro, he's cheating.
That one's crazy. That one's actually.
Icarus is He's cheating. I swear to God, he's cheating.
Using support.
And you just need to
through the fucking map and shit.
face plant.
Bro, das ist so schwer.
Jump.
Okay, what do you do here?
You're not gonna make that.
Jump.
do you do here?
Hit the pad.
What's he gonna do with this? It's gonna be nasty, isn't it?
Hit the
Er
pad.
nimmt den Bouncer. Er nimmt den Bouncer.
Spamming. Oh, he's spamming
Wah.
the trigger.
Ah,
This skip. I think I found that one.
Halt's Maul, Digga. What the fuck?
Pretty sure. I think I found that one, right?
Fuck off, dude.
What the
That's so
fuck?
crazy.
I went through that shitty segment. I didn't see that.
Crazy.
All right, at least the very end.
He actually goes for this, which is crazy.
Oh my god, that saved so much time.
Ich dachte, du bist
I think I found this one as well, this jump.
Yeah, of course.
I never did it in
I gotta see
runs.
that again. I gotta see that again.
Okay, I have to explain this. This is the skip that Lance and Not Edge discovered, and I promise you, we made sure that you cannot get enough height by hitting the jump pad.
I mean, Lance probably discovered it, but
There is no situation
no one saw Lance's run, so who really discovered it?
in which you can get enough height to reach that second jump pad. But Karem doesn't land on the jump pad, he lands on the side. Maybe not that, that's what happens if you don't time your grab perfectly to catch your landing. Instead, he grabs to catch himself, which increases his friction, giving him a release boost, which gets him up the ramp. And then, right before he hits the jump pad, he grabs again, giving him a second speed boost, where he clips the box collider of the jump pad, and because he's heading up, and with his newly added speed, he can reach the second jump pad, skipping the entire last section. It really is the culmination of all the skips combined. So impressive. Anyway, back to the run.
Boah, das ist so satisfying irgendwie. Oh mein Gott.
Oh my god.
Final jump.
What is he doing? Slow down.
Boah, das Game ist echt geil.
It
Oh,
is.
so ein gutes Game.
Lines it up.
It is a good game.
Nerve-wracking.
Wham.
Oh, yikes. Almost fucked it.
Digga, verflucht.
Oh, you still have to go there. That's nerve-wracking.
Oh my God. The reverse turn in?
That's awesome.
That's
That was a fantastic.
9:57.
Damn, that was cool.
10 minutes.
Oh, like a real ice skater.
I did not think it was possible.
9:57. Wow.
That's fucking crazy.
Fun game, though.
Woo! What an impressive run. And it turns out that Space Hunter's run, although absolutely cracked and so creative,
You missed. You fucked up.
was only remotely close to Karem's time.
Oh.
Why is there a hole there? Why is there a hole there? What is he
Hey,
doing?
did he mess up on purpose, or is this like the what the
Because
hell?
they found some insane out-of-bounds skips. You dirty dog. Yeah. But
Miss.
he's still, like, you know, Karem's not making any mistakes, and he's
Okay.
which is amazing. I'm so glad they submitted, but was illegal for the final run, disqualifying them.
Banned!
Meaning Karem actually won by nearly 30 seconds. So, congratulations to the top 5 runners, to Karem for winning back to back to back, and a huge thank you to
Karem's
the
the
entire
GOAT!
speedrunning community.
Nepotism
this was
didn't
a
win,
massive video that required a ton of research and time, and I'm itching to get back to work. So there probably won't be any new videos for a while. And who knows, maybe we'll do a small update in the future for the game, but the only way to know is to subscribe.
Is that the guy? He's real?
For a while. And who knows, maybe we'll do a small update in the future for the game, but the
Who's he?
only way to know is to subscribe and to buy the game on Steam. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Incredible. So fun. All right, chat. That's all I got for today. I'll be back on Monday with an actual schedule. Monday's Run and Bun. Thursday is something. I don't know. He got the work, yeah? Anyways, I'm calling it a day. I just wanted to watch that. Hey, React Andy, watch my video. Oh, yeah, I gotta watch. Right. You added music to a video. Okay, we're gonna rate someone who... Extreme Burritos is still live, so we're rating Extreme Burritos. Say thank you for the race. Extreme Burritos. I spelled R-I-E. I'm so dumb, dude. Thank you. Go say thank you for the race. He's the GOAT. Go spy on him. Tell me if he has any cool strats. I'll see you on Monday. Or I'll see you tomorrow. I'm in Block Wars. I forgot. See you on Monday. Big fish dude, man. It's Pokemon Run and Bun. But I'm back tomorrow, too. See you tomorrow.